Yeah, so we're here at the Sulivan Arena today, and this exists because during Alaskan winters it gets really cold, and the municipality has a code that states that we can open an emergency shelter for cold weather. And so when temperatures drop below 45 degrees, the Sulivan Arena came available, and we now shelter around 360 people. Overnight residents, and then we have about 150 people who access the warming area any given day.
So you were telling me a story about a gentleman, and it was kind of a really cool success story. If you could share that with us, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, so we had a client that was here previously who was a resident, and he was under the influence of heroin for about 40 years. Drug addicted, came in, sought out shelter, and entered into recovery. He got on the path of recovery, got sober. He's been sober for about 2 years now, and now he is working for Henning Inc., who's the operator at the Sulivan Arena, and he got into housing. And so it's just one of the success stories that we see here is that people can get out of addiction, they can get on the path to success, they can acquire jobs, and now he's working in homelessness and giving back and telling people who are residing here that they have the opportunity to get out of homelessness and get on the correct path.
So where would people be if they weren't here? If this was shut down tomorrow, where would people be?
Out on the streets, unfortunately. One of the things that we see is a gap in housing. We know that there's about 2,400 units needed to keep people housed in Anchorage, and so right now, without those housing units, we're sheltering people, and so if this place closes or any other shelter closes, we're looking at about 700 people hitting the streets.
So you were telling me your story beforehand. I think it was pretty powerful. Do you mind telling us your story a little bit?
Sure. My name is Rob. I'm a person in long-term recovery. What that means to me is I haven't found a good enough reason to pick up drugs or alcohol since February 3rd of 2018. And so this type of working with marginalized population is right up my alley because, quite frankly, my recovery is contingent on my willingness to be of service. So those two things kind of piggyback off each other, and it develops this momentum that I utilize, and fuels the work that I do here. Helping people get assessed, helping people get interventions from things, whether it be drug abuse, mental health issues, or if they're looking for a job and they're just living paycheck to paycheck. Just helping to make connections in between those things, from the client to the service provider to the municipality, and everything in between. There's a lot of room for service, and there's a big need for help.
So what's your specific role here? What do you do? What's your day-to-day look like?
So I'm a community liaison. What I do is I check all the sites, for Henning Inc. I'm a community liaison for Henning Inc. So I come in here, I make sure that we are in ratio, that we have a client to staffing ratio of one client or one staffing person per 15 individuals. And then I just make sure that for the service provider, they have everything they need to meet the demands of the contract. Then for the client, I help them get the resources they need to make sure that they're appropriately been assessed, been appropriately assessed into the right intervention.
So you were telling me a story beforehand about this gentleman that's kind of come full circle, came in as a amputee.
Oh yeah, Mailo.
Yeah.
Mailo. Mailo. He came in last summer. I met Mailo. Probably about 60-year-old Hawaiian amputee. When I first met him, I was getting him set up and assessed for an emergency housing voucher, and he was blind. His health was very poor. There was one point where I was losing sleep, not knowing for sure if he would be here the next day. And so we kept close tabs on him. We got that initial assessment. We thought that he'd be a good fit for one of our transitional programs that we had at one of the hotels, the non-congregate shelter. And so we moved him there with his voucher. We got him an ID. We got him on Social Security. And little by slowly, the life started coming back into him. He expressed to us that he wanted to work. So now he is the head of our janitorial program here at the Sulivan. So he literally came here as a client. Now he comes here working. And when he cashed his check, it was the first check he had cashed since 1994.
Wow.
Not only that, he just moved out of our transitional unit into one of his own apartments that's literally 2 blocks away from here. Definitely something that warms my heart. And, yeah, Maila is one of my favorite guys for sure.
So what do you want?